Welcome to Daya Headlines. I'm Li Wei-Tai. Thank you for joining us. Coming up in today's show, as foreign aid pours into quake-torn Japan, Tzu Chi's aid supplies are also getting delivered to the hardest hit zones. We look at the Japanese government and the public's efficient and collected response to the earthquake despite its cataclysmic scale. And U.S. Tzu Chi volunteers are mobilized to survey the damage caused by the recent flooding in Cedar Grove, New Jersey. After the 9.0 magnitude earthquake hit Japan and caused a devastating tsunami in the country last Friday afternoon, Tzu Chi volunteers around the world mobilized to come to the aid of victims. On Monday morning, a shipment of supplies containing a total of 500 boxes of eco-friendly blankets was flown from Taiwan to Japan.
After the massive earthquake and tsunami hit Japan, Tzu Chi volunteers leapt into action, shipping boxes of aid to victims.
Our first shipment of aid is blankets made from recycled PET bottles. There are 500 boxes of eco-friendly blankets.
Putting themselves in the shoes of disaster victims, even the shipping company is volunteering.
Together with MOFA and charity organizations and individuals who want to donate supplies, aid and food, after we collect them together, we take them to Taoyuan Airport to be sent to Japan.
At Taiwan's main airport, volunteers from the Dharma Drum Mountain Foundation lend a hand.
Where there's a need for aid, we will do our best to help. Today, I'm very grateful to the Tzu Chi volunteers who helped us unpack the container. Everyone worked together on this.
When it comes to helping Japan, everyone is united behind a common cause.
The quake that struck northeast Japan brought massive destruction in the region. At the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear plant, a hydrogen explosion occurred at the Unit 1 reactor on Saturday afternoon, and another explosion at the Unit 3 reactor occurred on Monday morning. The incident has raised global concerns about nuclear safety.
Explosions occurred at the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear plant in Japan after the earthquake of March 11th, releasing radioactive dust into the atmosphere. In Taiwan, people are concerned about the possible health hazards.
The current weather system in that area is moving eastward. High-pressure systems in China are heading out to sea. According to the current data, if the radioactive fumes spread, they will float eastward towards the Pacific, which means that it will have a minimum effect on Taiwan.
The radioactive dust released from the explosions are being blown eastward by the wind coming from the west and should dissipate before reaching Hawaii or the west coast of the United States. In Taiwan, with all three nuclear power plants within close proximity of major metropolises, there would be nowhere to evacuate to should Taiwan ever face the same predicament.
In Japan, residents within 20 kilometers of the plant were evacuated. In Taiwan, that would have included parts of Taipei City. If we expanded the radius of the evacuation to 60 kilometers, that would include Taoyuan. Where can millions of people evacuate to? In Taiwan, there is nowhere to run.
Airborne radioactive dust will fall with rainfall, contaminating the earth, water, and everything else it contacts. The nuclear accidents in Japan are solemn reminders of the dangers of nuclear power and call for a re-examination of nuclear safety.
Continuing from the last report on the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant accident, the detected radiation level after the first explosion was 1,015 millisieverts. What does that mean exactly? When we take an X-ray, we're exposed to 1 millisievert of radiation, and a person should not be exposed to more than 1,000 millisieverts a year. We have prepared the following report to help you learn how to deal with a real nuclear fallout.
Nuclear reactor explosions in Japan have raised the general public's fear of being exposed to radiation. The truth is, though, that we are exposed to radiation every day. Ionizing radiation, which comes from X-rays or nuclear fallout, and non-ionizing radiation, which comes from cell phones or microwave ovens.
Common electromagnetic radiation such as that from our cell phones is low in energy. Radioactive materials from a nuclear power plant also emit energy, but it is a lot more potent.
Exposure to ionizing radiation can be harmful to the human body. Having an X-ray photo taken exposes a person to 1 millisievert. A person should not be exposed to more than 1,000 millisieverts a year. But 1,015 millisieverts were detected in the explosions in Japan.
The immediate danger from Japanese nuclear fallout is limited. People in Taiwan need not panic or be afraid to go out. We should consider the long-term effects such as radioactive dust falling into reservoirs and contaminating the water supply or being ingested by animals that are part of our food chain.
In the case of real nuclear fallout, experts advise that keeping a safe distance is the best way to minimize excessive exposure. Staying in a closed-off enclosure to prevent skin contact, inhalation, or ingestion of airborne radioactive dust. The ingestion of iodine is for people within the immediate vicinity of the nuclear blast and can have adverse effects when taken unnecessarily.
Japan's catastrophic earthquake had viewers around the world sitting on the edge of their seats watching as the events unfolded. Despite shocking images of the extent of the damage, the country's calm and effective response to the disaster has been truly inspiring. Japan's early earthquake warning system, coupled with the media outlets' collective and instantaneous efforts to help quake survivors through the aftermath, have succeeded in minimizing casualties. On March 11, 2011, the Japan Meteorology Agency conducted an on-the-air countdown to an apocalyptic earthquake. Concurrently, NHK aired predictions on the scale of the tremor and the times it would reach various regions in the country. Japan's comprehensive earthquake early warning system ensured that casualties are significantly minimized. On the streets of Tokyo, survivors remain impressively calm and line up neatly to buy supplies. People can make free calls from any payphone and collect aid packages from emergency shelters. There is no honking, pushing or shoving in the aftermath of the quake, thanks to the country's impeccable disaster preparedness, observes Hong Jiaqi, Taichung's IR officer to Japan.
The roads were paralyzed with cars, but no one honked. The same theme of peace and orderliness can be seen in emergency shelters, where even though aid supplies were limited, people shared and divided equally among themselves what was available.
The Japanese government's quick response to the disaster truly impressed Taiwanese tourists who were in Tokyo Disneyland at the time of the quake.
They found a place for us to rest and gave us drinks, hot beverages, and lots of food. They took really good care of us.
Japanese media outlets are united to provide citizens with the latest disaster updates and information on food and shelter. Quake-related news has been free from emotive language or histrionic background effects, focusing purely on disseminating relevant information to help survivors deal with the catastrophe.
Japan's news agencies have been very professional, serving both as a watchdog and an information provider.
As regards the way Taiwan covers such news, experts advise a less alarmist approach.
Taiwan's news channels keep on replaying the most horrific images of the tsunami, of how it forced its way into roads and streets and flooded cities. It's very disturbing for the viewers.
The Japanese government's effective earthquake response, the general peace and orderliness of the people, and the informative and comforting role that the news media play are indeed valuable lessons for all. United in love and compassion at the tragedy of the Japanese earthquake and tsunami, Tzu Chi members worldwide plan to take to the streets to canvass donations. In the United States, fundraising was planned for Monday, the 14th.
Making posters and collection boxes. In the U.S., Tzu Chi volunteers speed up to support earthquake and tsunami-ravaged Japan. In the spirit of one entity, great compassion, U.S. Tzu Chi members have mobilized.
One entity signifies that we are one. There are no divisions between us. What's happening in Japan now, what happened in the past in Haiti. We are at one with Japan and at one with Haiti. If we are one, then we cherish each other and no one is excluded.
This is the best blessing for the victims.
Tzu Chi volunteers empathize with those in need.
If today we were sitting inside that bus and a 10-meter tall tsunami swept us over, imagine what it would be like. Imagine the horror.
Holding their palms together, volunteers pray for victims in Japan and a disaster-free world. In Malacca, Malaysia, Tzu Chi holds a tea party to promote environmental conservation, hoping to inspire local residents to act to preempt disaster.
It's great to meet your group for the first time. To protect the environment is really very important. I will mobilize the residents to protect the environment. We should all reflect and cherish the peace of our country.
All the disasters, they occur because we have damaged the environment. If we don't do something, it'll be too late. Although Malaysia is safe, we must prepare.
At the other end of the city, volunteers are promoting vegetarian diet to inspire kindness and compassion. In Taipei, during their monthly gathering, media volunteers in Northern District pray for Japan's quake and tsunami victims.
Through the joint efforts of many people and great strength, with the reminders of others, the penitence of others, we are reminded of our mistakes. I think this kind of penitence and effort is the only true purification of the inner heart, and it can purify the world.
Because goodness, truth and beauty come from all communities, they exist in all communities, the goodness, truth and beauty of all people. We record them, and through all this, the mobilization of beauty and goodness, the activation of love, more people are mobilized.
At the Zhongshan office, when Tzu Chi members gather to learn sign language, they bring together the strength of goodness and pray together.
Master Zhenyan often tells us that nature is in a state of emergency. We should truly practice Buddhism in action. Also, we heard about the earthquake in Japan yesterday. If we don't all truly and quickly repent, we will not pacify the disasters that threaten us.
In the child development class at Sancong chapter grounds, tiny children make great vows to save the earth.
Also adding to the effort to help Japan's quake and tsunami victims is a group of fledgling fashion designers in Taichung, Taiwan, who are transforming second-hand clothes into new outfits and selling them to help with Japan's relief efforts. The combination of a long grey vest and a silk scarf makes a unique fashion statement, given that the outfit was originally an old dress that was sold for $1.5 in the flea market.
Perhaps the style of the dress wasn't that new, so I shortened it and turned it into a long vest. Now that spring is almost here, I'm adding more color to it by using fabrics with a brighter print.
And this fleece jacket, tainted by paint on the outside, is transformed into a new outfit by turning it inside out and combining it with a denim vest.
I got it open so it becomes like a belly band. It's cooler to wear. And the fleece jacket is turned inside out, so you don't see the damaged side. This side is in perfect condition.
Creative and eco-conscious, the young designers say it's cheaper to create new garments with second-hand clothes. Wang Jianming launched a clothing drive on Facebook and plans to hold fashion shows in flea markets.
Taiwan's environment is highly polluted, so to make it better, we need to take action rather than just paying lip service.
The designers also decided to sell some of their creations online and donate the proceeds to Japan's quake victims, thereby giving old clothes both a purpose and a new lease of life. The groundbreaking ceremony for the second phase of construction at the Tzu Chi permanent housing community in Shanling, southern Taiwan, took place on Saturday. The plan is to build 246 homes and an elementary school. We go to Shanling to join the celebration.
Here at the Shanling Da'ai community for victims of Typhoon Morakot in southern Taiwan, a groundbreaking ceremony is taking place for the second phase of construction on more homes and an elementary school.
Apart from construction of permanent homes, education is the hope for children. So Tzu Chi will give the community children a safe place to go to school by building an elementary in the grounds.
The second phase includes 246 permanent homes and an elementary school. Blending in with the local scenery, the project will be an important public space for the community.
Integrated into our community, the Tzu Chi Foundation brings out its unique characteristics, including this much anticipated construction.
Under the impetus of our pioneering Tzu Chi colleagues, an increasing number of people are moving into this community for secure housing and even leisure and jobs. We want to sincerely thank them for that.
With the combined efforts of volunteers in 52 countries and in partnership with the Taiwanese government, the new homes and schools will bring more residents and variety into the community, which is rapidly becoming a model for disaster reconstruction.
During their rule of Taiwan, the Japanese introduced lemongrass to the country to make economically valuable lemongrass oil. But with the rising popularity of chemically produced fragrances in the 1960s, lemongrass started to go out of fashion. Then a few years ago, someone discovered lemongrass oil was quite a good mosquito repellent, and the traditional industry took off once again.
To make the best lemongrass oil, dry grass is stuffed into a steamer while someone stamps on it from above, because the more crammed it is, the easier it is to extract the oil. The steam that comes is condensed and drips into a collection container. The glass-colored liquid is lemongrass oil.
In the Guangfu area, there are a lot of mosquitoes around the sugar factory, so we thought of lemongrass oil as a traditional repellent.
Guangfu Township in East Taiwan started making lemongrass oil in 1912. 35 kilograms steamed for 4 hours only produces 400 grams of oil, making it an expensive commodity for the older generation.
With changing times, there were more varieties, and after chemical fragrances came out, lemongrass oil started to wane and slowly disappear.
With rising demand for natural products, Guangfu restarted lemongrass oil extraction in 2005. After the sugarcane plantation closed, 3.2 hectares of spare land was set aside for lemongrass. But harvesting the crop hasn't gotten any easier. What was sugarcane is now shimmering lemongrass. Since Hualien Sugar Factory switched to lemongrass oil extraction, a new generation is being introduced to this traditional industry, and lemongrass is no longer left by the wayside. On this day, the 15th of March, The sixth General Secretary of the Russian Communist Party, Mikhail Gorbachev, became the first president of the Soviet Union on this day in 1990. Gorbachev contributed to the end of the Cold War and was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in the same year. The Taiwanese government first established its family planning program in 1964 to encourage birth control. 30 years later, the second phase was launched with the slogan, "Two children are just right." Today, the nation faces a declining birth rate and an aging population. The superintendent of Hongde Hospital in Yuli of Hualien County, Cao Wei, handed his hospital's ownership to Tzu Chi, allowing it to become the organization's first branch hospital, which opened on this day in 1999. On the same day, the next year, Guanshan Tzu Chi Hospital also opened in Taidong, forming a healthcare network for eastern Taiwan. A pneumonia-like disease broke out in China's Guangdong province in November 2002. On this day in 2003, the World Health Organization officially defined the disease as SARS, short for Severe Acute Respiratory Syndrome. SARS rapidly infected thousands of individuals across the globe and caused a total of 916 deaths. The first overseas Tzu Chi school was built in Chiang Mai, Thailand in 2005. On this day in 2008, the school held its first graduation ceremony for 36 elementary students.
In the United States, melting snow in early spring and continuous rain caused flooding in Cedar Grove, New Jersey. Tzu Chi immediately dispatched a survey team to understand the scope of the damage.
Each household has piled up sandbags, but the water still encroaches. The residential areas of Cedar Grove, New Jersey are one big flood due to continuous rain and melting snow.
It's worse this year than last. It's mainly because a large amount of snow started to melt right at the beginning of March. Then we had 2 days of heavy rain. A flood this extensive doesn't often happen, even though this area often floods almost every year.
The residents of nearby Little Falls are already in the temporary shelters, but the authorities warn that with the early evening's high tide, the waters will rise again.
It's cresting tonight at 7 o'clock. Okay. Okay? Right. So tomorrow there's still going to be water on the street. Okay? So Monday, I think, would be the earliest that you can get in there.
There's a creek behind that house over there. The water comes from there. Each of the houses here has a basement, so you can imagine all of the basements are flooded to street level.
The local emergency rescue organizations estimate that over 1,000 homes are flooded. Tzu Chi volunteers walk anxiously around the flood site, gaining an understanding of the situation, hoping to play their part as soon as possible.
The Tzu Chi branches and offices throughout the United States have launched fundraising campaigns to spread more awareness of Japan's plight and to canvass donations to help with the relief and reconstruction work. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you for watching.